What a rousing way to end week 2. Sunday's action, 8 games. Let's break them all down. Blowouts all over the place. The Pelicans stink. Injuries to big men. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and this show is the equivalent of a DX crotch chop. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and what do? Oh yeah, you use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We are available on all platforms. It is the end of week 2 in week 2 in the NBA, so we're going to cover Sunday's action, go through all the things that happened, a bit of news, and the 8 games, lines of the night. You know how we roll. I hope you do by now anyway. Waiver wire show earlier today, so go check that out. Plus a Monday preview show has already been posted. Let's get in and just cover off a little bit of news that is important for us to discuss before we start the proceedings here. Blake Wesley has a broken foot. This is for you in deeper leagues. I said this earlier today on the preview show, I think, saying that I think that's a pretty serious injury, and it is. They haven't given a time frame on it, but you got to think it's like a minimum 2 months, probably longer. And the problem with that is they don't have another point guard. It's Drew Holiday. Scoot Henderson's injured. So Ryan Repair, Caleb Love, CD Sissoko, Shaedon Sharp's going to be doing a bit of point guard work. But if you're in deeper leagues, you might have to look to Repair. Because literally, there's nobody else. So again, Blake Wesley injury seems like nothing. But who are the 15 minutes at point guard now behind Drew Holiday? Is it just somebody else doing different things? That'll be interesting. The Kings just chucked a bunch of blokes on the injury report. Malik Monk remains out for personal reasons, but Dennis Schroeder popped up. Okay. So they got a million guards, but like Dennis Schroeder popped up. Questionable hip soreness. Zach LaVine, questionable back soreness. Devin Carter, questionable knee soreness. What's going on? So from a situation where there were too many guards around, we might be getting 35 minutes of Keon Ellis and 35 minutes of Russell Westbrook. Like, is every guard just going to miss here? I don't think so, but opportunities could be arising. Nick Clifford might have to do more. So just keep an eye on that. You've already ruled out Malik Monk, and you got Carter, Schroeder, and LaVine, all questionable. And if Carter plays and the other two are out, then there's an opportunity for Carter. So just watch that one. Just probably slides a little bit under the radar. The big one, though, is, of course, a big man. It is Walker Kessler with the shoulder issue, been sent back to Utah off the road trip to get that reassessed. So that's obviously Sunday's game, Monday's game, Wednesday's games, Friday's game. The next back at home on the following Monday of week 4. We'll talk about that a little bit more because they played their game today without Kessler, but that's not great. That's giving not just this week. I'll put it that way. It's suggesting to me it might be measured in months and not weeks. It'll definitely be in weeks and not days. I feel good about saying that. And hopefully it's on the better side. We'll talk about, again, when we get to that Jazz game, we'll talk about the replacements and how it all looked. We're not quite there yet. We'll get there soon. We'll get there. Don't worry. So let's go to that first game of the day. And the old sad-ass Pelicans up against the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder win it easily. 137-106 is the final score here. The Pelicans trotted out the same starting group, which means that Jeremiah Fears was starting over Jordan Poole. And last game, Poole was pretty good off the bench. And this game, he was not. He played 24 minutes. He had 11 points. He hit 2 threes. He shot 18%. He is clearly not happy. This is just gigantic disaster thing, this whole team. Just the decision making of the two biggest idiot front office guys in the entire league has doomed this team, I feel. They're winless. They don't have their first round pick, and the guy that they gave that up for doesn't even play. Didn't even come in until garbage time, Derek Queen. The Blizzard played 7 minutes. I thought he was going to get an opportunity, but they'd rather play Kevon Looney. Yeah, because that's definitely leading to winning. You just lost by 31. And the idea is our veterans, they show this. Cool, but you're not. You've lost by 33 times. It is just baffling decision-making. Now, a bright spot is Jeremiah Fears. He has been way better than I thought he would be. 16, 4 and 4 with 4 triples. And he shot, 46%. He didn't have any steals. He is a guy to roster for now. Well, just roster him, right? And we'll figure it out. But it's been a significantly better start to his career than I anticipated. In saying that, he's still not up to 25 fantasy points in a game, and he's averaging, 28 minutes a night for the season. So, he hasn't been awesome. His category value is not inside the top 100, and it might get there. I don't know. But you do grab him. Trey Murphy and Herb Jones had better games, 19-5 with 5 threes for Ken Murphy, and Jonesy had 12 with 2 steals, and Zion had 20 and 9, 6 assists, terrible free throws, the standard sort of Zion. I will continue to tell you that I do not believe that rostering Yves Missi makes any sense. So you just don't need to be rostering the big fella.
Get that garbage out of here!
Yves Missi played 22 minutes, he had 7 points. He had 6 rebounds and 2 blocks with 50% from the field. It's 14 team league, 175 deep stuff, and that's really about it. I don't really see the point of it, anything else. Looney played 16 minutes, and why he is on this team is anybody's guess. And Queen had 4 points in 7 garbage time minutes. Again, what is actually going on? I do not think that Bill Green is making it through till Thanksgiving. But again, with this team, literally anything is possible in their decision making. On the Thunder side of things, they just had a bunch of guys out. Chet was out again, which is a worry. Jalen Williams remains out. And then Lou Dort was out of this one. Okay, so we got Pig Williams into the starting group. Now, I talked about him on the Waiver Wire show earlier today, saying, hey, he's got sneaky top 100 numbers over the last week without a start. And then he started. 12, 3 and 4, 4 triples, steal and a block. He's turned himself into a incredible stat-stuffing big man who's just sort of held back by his role. That's another really good game. Hartenstein had 14, 14 and 8 with a steal and a block. And Cason Wallace is cooking at the moment. He's Dyson Daniels maxing. He's averaging 3 steals a game. Now, we did have two games in there where he had 1 steal apiece, but he had 5 here again. If it's not for the steals, though, he's doing nothing. 13 points is fine. 3 threes is good, but no rebounds, 1 assist. He is being incredibly carried by the steals. In fact, go look on your Yahoo at the moment and go look where he's ranked for the season. It'll tell you top 35. And therefore, you'll laugh at it and understand not to look at rankings in that way. They are not reflective of anything. The math behind them, I believe, is 100% incorrect. And they don't reflect the nature of the game that we play. So I think it's a great way actually of being able to do buy low, sell highs, is taking advantage of some of that nonsense. If people, look, every time I talk about it, there's always someone who goes, oh, you just don't get the math. You don't get the maths. It's just numbers. It has to be that way. It's not, though. It's wrong. So there's always going to be someone who disagrees with you if you push back on those numbers. Wallace at the moment, the steals are fine, but Williams, Dort, Chet, where does he do enough when they're back to matter? I don't think that he does. And I love Cason Wallace. I think he's awesome. I don't think he's going to do enough. It wasn't a good AJ Mitchell night, but it's fine. He had 10 points. He shot poorly, but he added 9 assists and a steal. He's going to run into a similar problem when all these guys come back. But for now, the minutes are there, and we roll them. He's been an unbelievable surprise. But I'm also getting questions about, hey, do I go and must roster Isaiah Joe? Absolutely not. He had 13 points with 3 threes. That's fine. That's pretty good. It's a steal. It's 5 rebounds. It's all really very strong. But the long-term path, the value's not there. The overall appeal, even now, is limited to me. So not someone I'm burning an ad or a roster spot on in any 150 deep league. Probably in a 175, I might do it short term, but I don't see any of that appeal in a longer term situation for Isaiah Joe. I don't get it. What I do get, though, is I'm going to come back to talk about 7 other games very soon. But today's episode, it is brought to you by Robinhood. Your ambition just met its match. With Robinhood, you play for the win, not just on game day, but every day. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR and beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. And you can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends Advanced Tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that is robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Day. And when the NBA season, or with the NBA season fully rolling, you're going to want to get to see some of these games live. But that process in the past has been frustrating, expensive, fees, added time, queues, all this stuff that you don't want. That's why Game Time is the hack that gives the fans the advantage, scoring amazing NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. You can see exactly what your view is going to look like from your seat, so whether that is to get in there and watch the brilliance that is the Pelicans and the mastermind of Joe Dumars in action, you can get tickets for probably $2.50, $5, price not accurate, but you never know. You never know what Game Time is going to serve up. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. The code is LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Let's go to the next one. We've got the Utah Jazz and the Charlotte Hornets, and you're a little worried here that the Jazz, who started out the season with those surprisingly big games or big, huge wins and really competitive stuff, it's really off the rails the last two games, and they were without, of course, Walker Kessler in this one. So they started Jusuf Nurkic, and they also made a switch to get Kyle Filipowski out of the starting group and put Taylor Hendricks in there. I thought from preseason it was going to be Hendricks, and I was wrong, but they've made the switch. Let's start with Hendricks, because he played 25 minutes, 14 and 7 with 2 threes, is encouraging. He did have to shoot 63 to get there, and I would like to see steals and blocks. And I'd actually like to see him at 28 minutes. 28 minutes of Taylor Hendricks is a 12-team league guy. 25 is very much on the borderline. Like there's about 40 players that you can name every couple of days where we always get sort of someone asking a question, or do we add? Well, what do you think? Is there something happening? What do you do? Like Quentin Jackson pops up, or Jusuf Nurkic pops up, or there's always someone popping up. Or what do you do here with this player? This player did what? Trendon Watford. We'll talk about him later. He had a huge game. There's like 50 of these guys that appear every 2-3 days that are in that area. And you go, maybe. But there's too much inconsistency. If you can get to 28 or 29 Taylor Hendricks, then I think he elevates out of that group. As for Filipowski, obviously you're dropping him. 4 points in 16 minutes. What about Nurk, though? Was it a good game? Not really. Not really. Except 3 points is terrible. But if you stop reading there, you won't see the other things. 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. Now, the shooting is dreadful, 17%. But like we know, do you believe he's a 17% shooter? Of course he's not. Is he a 70% shooter? Also not. But we could easily get a 10-10 double-double with a block and a steal with 3 assists. This is what Nurkic can do. I understand he is flaky. I understand he's frustrating at times. But I would look to add him with Kessler out. He is the guy to add. It's not Kevin Love. It's not Kyle Filipowski. It's Nurkic and maybe Hendricks. I do feel like the Keyonte George breakout is just like legit now. 25, 2 and 7, 111, 44%, 8 of 9 from the line. He's ridiculously good. He's just unbelievably good so far. And there's nothing in what he's doing where I'm like, yeah, that's no way. Okay, let me phrase it this way. I have zero concern about Collier stopping this. Or, splitting minutes or taking the job. Larry Markkinen was also awesome. He took 1 million shots, 29 points on 28 shots with 7 rebounds. He's been just ridiculously good to begin this season. I do have some concerns about just how high of a usage load he is taking, and we'll see what they decide to do as they move forward and they maybe start to lose a little bit. Ace Bailey is just bad. Now he is bad. Before the Ace Bailey defenders get on eye test FC, he might be bad in the future. I don't know. He's currently bad, like terribly bad. Also, another one for the Dalton Connect preseason Hall of Fame board. 6 points, 0 rebounds, 38%. The preseason victory laps on draft prospects is always crazy, and it almost always blows up. I thought that Bailey would come in and probably play 30 minutes as a starter, but he got sick, and he's just been terrible. Yeah, I do not think you need to be rostering him. Not even, I can't really see any reason why you would. It's going to be a long time before we even get close to it paying off, and it might not pay off anyway. So yeah, not for me. The Hornets side is interesting. This was the second game of a back-to-back. LaMelo was questionable on the injury report for Saturday, and he played, but he didn't play here. So I don't think that it's anything gigantically concerning, but you never like to see it. So who started in his place? It wasn't Trey Mann. It was Keyonte James. Keyonte played 29 minutes. He had 15, 5, and 3 with 3 threes. He's been really good. Like, outperformed, I'd say, anybody's expectations. Is it addable anywhere? I don't think so, because I also think LaMelo just returns, and remember, they have a 2-game week. So if you're prioritizing a Keyonte James ad, don't think it makes sense. What about the big Areola? Knippel had not been playing well. He'd been playing fine, but not well. 24, 6, and 5 with 4 threes. It's great. Ask yourself the question. Was that because Ball was out? Probably. Probably a large part of it, and he shot really well. Is Knippel good enough to hold through a 2-game week? I'm not sure that he is. I like Knippel, but is he just in that morass of nonsense where between the 120th and the 180th best player, pick and choose? Which means that when you got a 2-game week, I don't know that it's worth holding. And I think the same is similar there for Sexton, who played 29 minutes. He had 10 points. He did have 12 assists. He's been better than what Knippel has been. But there's been a lot of ups and downs. The big cock, Ryan Cockbrunner, it's a very weird line. 2 points and 4 rebounds is obviously terrible. But then you just chuck in a random 4 steals and 4 blocks. And then he also went 1 of 3 from the field. He can't hit shots anymore. It's 2 games in a row. What do you do with the big cock? I think that Cockbrenner is absolutely someone that you do hold. Knippel, not sure about. Not bothering with Keyonte James. Cock, yeah. I think he's worth holding this week. Moussa Diabate had a big one too. 17 and 12 with a block. That's great. Not someone I care to add. The consistent role is not there enough to add to wait for 2 games. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me to do it that way. Now we can go north, where Blue Jays fans are licking their wounds. Congratulations to the Dodgers in just one of the most frustrating viewing experiences I've ever seen. But they get the World Series victory, Canada cries, and the Raptors get a victory to not really make up for it, but do something, I guess, against the Grizzlies, 117-104. So we were on Morant watch in this game. What was going to happen with Ja Morant suspended? Now, he'll likely be back tomorrow, so most of what happens here isn't important. But it is important for this perspective. What if Morant does something stupid again? What if he is insolent once more? Well, we've got a bit of a framework here. Cam Spencer did start. He played 26 minutes. He had 4 points on 14%. But again, I like seeing 4 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals. And if he shoots better than 14%, the game's not bad. He was at least the right stream pick over a Javon Small, who played just 8 minutes. KCP decided he was going to ramp backwards and have 12 points with 0 rebounds and 2 assists, and shot horribly, as did Jalen Wells, who had 7 and 5. If you stream them in for today, you don't need to hold them, but of course, if you add someone and they've got a back-to-back, you're pretty dumb usually just cutting in the middle of the back-to-back. Jaren Jackson didn't start off particularly well, but outside of the lack of blocks, it's one of his better ones this season. 20 and 9 with a 3 on 53% shooting. And Cedric Coward also not much change. He's getting a little bit of the... He's not doing this, but he's giving a little bit of the Luke Kennard, I am farming for field goal percentage. Because he just doesn't take shots. 12, 5, and 5. And sure, he hit 55%, but 16 usage in a game without Morant. No defensive stats here. And again, he shot well. The minutes are up to 29. He's been very good. Not as much in points leagues. He's not as good there. But the volume just hasn't arrived yet. And then, like I talked about this guy the other day, how he was putting up this interesting little run if you want to get chunky and try and add somebody for some value. But Jock Landau, 14, 6, 2 threes, a steal. What I tell you, if like I said, he's a top 150 player per game this season, you'd be surprised. Now, there is no way that is a long-term thing. It's not. But when you're like dicking around on the waiver wire and you're saying, oh, yeah, have I got a center around? Like, that's actually okay when it makes sense schedule-wise. That's what I'm talking about. Would you rather hold? Like, would you try Moussa Diabate because he had a huge double-double today, only 2 games next week, but I could try and find... It doesn't happen this week, but if you had a 3-game and 4-night stretch here of Jock, like get that, move on, get the next guy, move on, get the next guy, move on, get the next guy, move on, get the next guy. It's like a shell game. It's like moving the hats around. Like that's sort of how you can maximize that. There was also a really good game from Vincey Williams. 14, 3, and 3 with 2 steals, and he's been like MIA for most of the year, or most of the last 2 years. But it was a good game there without Morant. But again, everything gets turned upside down tomorrow because Demetrius is back, and those slight gains that others had aren't counting. This is more like, hey, this is something if Morant does something again and is out once more. The Toronto side, no Yucca Poeltl still. Colin Murray-Boyle started again, and this was by far his best game. 15, 9, and 5, and he got steals. I don't believe he'd had a single defensive stat in any of his starts until this one. And that's one of the things that he's good for. It's assists, steals, blocks out of a big man slot. And he also played the 31 minutes. So his first 2 starts, not good enough. This one, great. And I know that this is going to make people ask the anything to see here question, which, I mean, sure, like there's a player that played well. But that's a 33% success rate so far in terms of good games. And if you add now, what are the chances, 33%, now what are the chances that it's a good one next time? It might be good, I don't know. I think it's okay to look at him without being awesome. Rowan Barrett, 27, 6, and 6, been very good. Scotty Barnes, only 19 points, but 12 rebounds, 8 assists, and 5 blocks is fantastic. And Ingram is also playing really well. I'd say Barnes is probably a little below expectations. Ingram is well above, and so is Barrett. Emmanuel Quickley, though, is well below. I think there is a buy low on Quickley, but it depends on what your expectation was. If you thought he was a top 60 player, I think you need to reset that. I think I had him like 80 something, in that area, 75, 80. I was hyped for him this season before they traded for Brandon Ingram. So last season, okay, he's having a stinker of a year. He'll be a great draft discount player next season. But then they got Ingram, so it doesn't work with all these guys in the lineup. And we're seeing that play out. But this is like worst case. He took 5 shots. He had 9 points quickly. He still had 3 assists with 2 threes. It's not the disaster of all disasters. And he's still a top 120 player this season. But he's not hitting top 50. Your expectation should be top 80, top 85, I think, for him. So there's a little bit of a buy low just cracking on at the moment for the big dog, Emmanuel Quickley. Today's episode, it's also brought to you by Ruji-Et. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. Emmanuel Quickley doesn't get better just because I told you it's hard for him to touch the ball with those guys in the starting lineup. Doesn't solve it. You need solutions. So if you're having issues with touching the ball, or whatever else it may be, the excuses like I'm tired or it happens to everyone, don't worry about it. You need solutions. Your body needs that extra support. And that's where Ruji-Et comes in. Ruji-Et.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. It makes it easy to get started with Ruji-Et. You just connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online with no awkward waiting rooms and no in-person appointments. Visit Ruji-Et, rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA to get 15% off your first order. That is rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA. And don't forget to use the code LockedOnNBA so that they know that we sent you. Ruji-Et, stop making excuses and start making moves. Now we can go to the Atlanta Hawks. They went to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers, a banged up Cleveland Cavaliers who did welcome back Donovan Mitchell, but the Hawks still can't get it done. 117-109. Of course, the Hawks are without Trae Young. Cleveland wins it. The Hawks went with the same starting group. Nickeil Alexander-Walker played 34 minutes. I know you might be inclined to say, what am I doing? I've seen some actually crazy decisions. I saw someone debating whether it was better to pick up Nickeil Alexander-Walker or Quentin Jackson, and then someone said it's definitely Quentin Jackson. Like, no, it's not. Not in a million years. What are we doing? This is not a good shooting night from Alexander-Walker, very obviously, 27%, but he was 10 of 11 from the line. He had 16, 3, and 5. He blocked a shot. He played 34 minutes. He has got this job. Until Trae comes back 6 weeks' time, he's got this job. And he was playing 30 minutes a night anyway when Trae was there. He's just a guy, must-roster player now. What we've also noticed is that Dyson Daniels has kicked up. Now, is it all usage? It's a little bit usage. 18, 4, and 3 with 4 steals and a block. Okay? They're really good numbers. It helps that he shot 67%, but it's also helpful that he's able to get touches, and that makes sense. Right? It makes sense that he wasn't getting usage given the players around him, and it makes sense that one of them's out, so he gets the ball more now. That is all just basic 101 of projecting out fantasy value. Jalen Johnson, I think, is going to be great. I said this the other day, and someone said, no, he's actually way better with Trae. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he's going to be good with Trey. I think he's going to be dominant now. 23, 13, and 5 for Jalen with fantastic field goals. Porzingis only played 28 minutes, but honestly, do you actually care that much? 15, 12, and 6 with a block. We could get a little bit more and the usage could be higher, but he's been pretty good. Okongwu wasn't that good here, but again, he has been solid, so I'm not that worried about it. 7 and 5. But I'm not worried about this because I'm out, and I've been out since the first day. I thought, could we get a big second-year step forward from Zachary Ricochet? Nah, we get nothing. 8 points, 5 assists is interesting, and 2 steals. But the most important part of this, it doesn't matter whether I think he's going to be good or whether I think he's going to step forward or whatever. But if Quinn Snyder won't play him 30 minutes, then none of it matters. Then it doesn't do anything for 150 player leagues. It doesn't do anything. He's doing the same thing as last season. He's a starter who plays half starter minutes. Well, not half starter, but he's under 80% starter role, and he's got no real ability to ramp up. He'll have a game where he has 30 points on 9 of 9 shooting in the next 2 weeks. I'm sure that'll happen. And then we'll go, oh, second year breakout, here it comes. Number 1 pick for a reason. It'll happen. I don't care. It's a good game from the spiral. Luke Kennard, 15 points for him with 3 threes and 2 steals, but 83% shooting, incredibly low volume. Look, that's desperation-y stream stuff for standards, not a must grab in this sort of situation, even though Young is out. It does help him, but it's not something that I'm getting overly indexed on. The Cavs. Don Mitchell did return, and they made another change to the lineup. Last game it was Lonzo Ball and Dean Wade. This time it was Larry Nance, and then Don Mitchell returning. As for Nance, yuck. 11% shooting. 3 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal. It could have been okay. Let's say he goes 5 of 9, 11, 4, 4 with a steal. You go, I bloody loved streaming that in, but it was just bad. It was bad. But Dean Wade put his second good performance together. 11, 6, and 4. I don't think we'd do anything with it, but if Jarrett Allen is going to remain out, by the way, Jarrett Allen, all 82 games last season, if Jarrett Allen is going to remain out, then Nance and Wade at least enter stream discussions. Mitchell returned. He sees hamstrings fine, but he was actually been sick as well. Cool, man. 37, 2 and 5, 2 steals, a block with 8 triples. And DeAndre Hunter is a must-roster play. You know that I wanted to target DeAndre Hunter in drafts for the beginning of the season in particular. 18 and 7 with 2 threes and 3 steals. Love it. Let's go. Love it. Evan Mobley, 14, 8 and 5 with 3 steals. And the other guy, that's 3 in a row from Jalen Tyson of at least 18 points. No more than 19 points, but at least 18. 18 with 5 threes. Now, he didn't have any defensive stats here, but he is turning into a very good player. Again, there's no Allen, there's no Garland, there's no Merrill, and there's no Strus. They literally all could be back within the next week, except for Strus. So these opportunities for Tyson, for Wade, for Ball, for Porter, they're not going to be there. They're not going to always... it's not a long-term... he's worked his way into this role, and we just keep going from there. Let's do the next one. We were... pretty confident the Nets were going to be terrible, and they stink, man. They're horrid. They're horrid. Philadelphia beats them easy, 129-105. No Joel Embiid, but we didn't get a full load of Boner in this one, which is unfortunate because you would have hoped for a little bit more of that. Boner started, played 14 minutes, and had 2 points. He had a steal and a block. He did have foul trouble. He had 4 fouls in that time, but I see no reason to be holding Adem Boner.
Get that garbage out of here!
Some might say, if you jacked Boner, you might have better results. You might at least clear some spots on your roster. The reason that I was interested in drafting Boner is because I thought Embiid was going to miss the start of the season. He did not. So therefore, we faded off of Boner at draft time, and now the situation holding a backup like this, who's a one-category guy, it's almost impossible if you're in the most popular formats of the game. Daily changes, head-to-head categories, daily changes, head-to-head points. You can't really do it. What we got in this one was just a monster game from Kelly Oubre. Started out with 21 points. I think he only ended with 29. No assists, of course, but it was elite efficiency and just took a million shots. He is a must-roster player. We will see what happens when George and McCain both return, but for now, we go with it. We had 39 minutes of Tyrese Maxey. Nick Nurse. I love your work with your self-branded hats. Fantastic work. Elite logo. Unbelievable self-promotion. What are you doing? You were beating the Nets by 30 points when he came out with 4 minutes left. What for? What are you doing? Now, he's playing really well, obviously. 26, 6, and 7. But, bro, just ease up. It was also another monster from Quentin Grimes. 22, 7, and 13. Steal, block. He has been ridiculously good. He's probably a sell high just because of players returning, but he is doing so well. While the dominatrix, VJ Edgecombe, we're seeing him settle in now. The usage is back down. He played 33 minutes only. Nothing to sneeze at. 16, 2, and 3 with 3 steals. Still really good, but not the top 30 guy. Nothing like that. He's a top 100 player, I would say. Maybe he's top 50. I don't think so. Maybe he's top 50. But we're seeing sort of a settling. Trendon Watford was the guy who really jumped up here. They're starting Jabari Walker with Dominic Barlow out, but Watford had 16, 9, and 7 with a block. Now, I don't really understand how Watford was able to be had on a two-way. I thought he'd done enough in Portland and in Brooklyn the last 2 years to be a real contract player. And he is better than Jabari Walker. He is better than Justin Edwards. Of course, there's no Embiid, there's no George, and no Barlow, all those guys in the front court, enabling Watford to do this. But it's a name to just remember, to see that if they go in with a similar alignment with no George, no Embiid next time, maybe Watford becomes a bit of a stream guy because he was really good here. But again, the Nets stink. So, yeah, we have to factor that part of it in too. They made a change to their starting lineup though. They removed Ben Saraf, who was a placeholder starting point guard. But they didn't put in their top 10 overall pick point guard, Yegor Dioman. They put in someone that's called Tyrese Martin, a real player who had some moments last season, but what are we doing? I feel like every one of their picks that they made, 5 first-rounders, is every one of them terrible? Like, you expect rookies to be bad, but these guys are unplayable. Nolan Traore, 0 minutes. Ben Saraf, 0 minutes. Danny Wolf, injured all season. Drake Powell, injured 4 minutes in. And then Gelman actually took a 2-point shot, but had 5 points with 2 assists. Surely, none of you are rostering him in leagues that are 150 or even 175 players deep. Because not only do they have all these other point guards, like now they're throwing Tyrese Martin into this role. Gelman is struggling, and the others are worse. We do have to talk about Terrence Mann, though, and in the past he has been one of the biggest fantasy letdowns over many years. But he's actually playing well. 17, 5, and 4 with 3 steals, and he played 34 minutes because these other guys are just useless. I don't think that we're looking at Mann as a standard league addition. He definitely leans categories over points. But if you go 175 deep, I think you roster him, honestly. I don't think it lasts long term, but I think you roster him. And we actually got a big Claxton game. 19, 7, and 5, 1 steal and 3 blocks. Now, I know you're going to see all the highlights. Oh my God, VJ Edgecombe tried to end his career. Look how high up he got. He almost killed him. And Claxton comes out with one of the best lines of the day. Because for some reason, we have this fetishization of like, oh, I killed him 1-on-1, destroyed him. But like Claxton, look, you do what you do. You try and defend. And this is actually the only good game Claxton's had. 19, 7, and 5 with 1 steal and 3 blocks. Does it make me excited for the rest of the season? Not really. Because this team is dreadful. Putting Cam Thomas and Michael Porter Jr. together on one team it's like, I don't know. It's like pouring acid straight down the urethra. What are we doing? It is just putrid watching. And you know that Cam Thomas is my least favorite player to watch in the entire NBA. Hate it. The worst player for me to watch. Hate watching him. And he had 29 points. Of course, he had 1 rebound, 1 assist, no steals, no blocks. And I think by the time he hit February, he's going to be playing limited minutes. I didn't want to draft him at all. And the same with the poop cookie, Michael Porter. 17 and 17 is not bad. He took 23 shots at 30%. They don't work together well at all. They're going to have good games. But like anytime, if anyone decides they want to give you a top 70 guy for either of these guys, you have to do it, I think. I don't see any way that you can't do it. Day'Ron Sharpe only played 10 minutes, which is frustrating. He'd been playing really well in his limited role. But we got a lot more out of Claxton. Noah Clowney is regressing again. He looks bad. The whole team is terrible at the moment. Just honestly, just terrible. In disappointing news, the Bulls' undefeated start to the season is over. They lose to the Knicks 128-116. Chicago was without Kobe White, of course, but then Ayo was out. So what we also got in this one was a reprieve to Trey Jones' minutes. Now, Jones' minutes had trended down the last couple. It was getting a little bit worrying. We had 15, 2, and 5 here. Is that solely because Dosunmu was out? I'd say there's a factor in that for sure. For now, though, you just hold Jones, and we just see if we can get more information on it. Josh Giddey continues to put up really good numbers. He is traveling towards being that easy second-round guy, like without too much question. He's 11th in points leagues. It's why we had him at the turn in points leagues. He's doing everything you could have wanted. Now, I do think that Kobe White will have an impact on him. But 23, 12, and 12 with 2 steals, he's doing literally what I expected and probably more than what a lot of you expected. Matas Buzelis has been up and down, but this is a better game. 14 and 7, he hit 4 threes, he had a block. It's hard to complain too much about that. While Founder Pants could have been a little bit better. Kevin Huerter, 7, 3 and 2, but 2 blocks and a steal. I think he still is on that periphery of being a 12-team league option. Let's talk Vooch. The GOAT had another elite shooting night. 17 and 14 with 3 threes. He blocked a shot and got 4 assists. He continues to be ridiculously good. His start to the season has been red hot again. And maybe he's turned himself from being a 32% three-point shooter into a high-level shooter. And none of that changes the fact that this is a gigantic sell high because he is at 54% from 3 and it just has zero chance of holding. Zero. None. Not going to happen. Not in a million years. It's going to fall a lot. Despite how good that shooting is, he's at league average usage and Kobe White still has to return. He's at under 20 points per game and he offers nothing defensively. The reason that he is able to be as good as he is the rebounds and the high field goals leading to scoring. Because if he was shooting at a normal level, instead of a true shooting of 70, we'd be talking about a guy averaging 16 and 12 with 1.8 threes. And you'd be like, that's fine, but give me Jalen Duren instead. So, and I know that people would love to troll me about this, because good for you. I'm very confident that once again, he will regress. And if you somehow want to overvalue him because it's funny, do it. Do it. I'm very, very confident that Vooch is going to fall off and he will end up outside the top 50. I'm very confident of that. Not far outside, but outside enough. Well, close to it anyway. Not a top 20 player. Feel confident in that. What else happened on the Bulls side? Nothing. Let's talk Knicks, who get the victory that they need. We got a report that came out about Josh the Hitman Hart, about his finger, and there's this nerve issue all through his hands, and surgery can complicate the matter even further, and he can barely do things, and that's not great. But he finally had a good game, 50% shooting, 14, 9, and 3 in 26 minutes. 26 is not enough. He's going to need 31 minutes, 32 minutes, I think, to be a 12-team lock to hold. If you dropped him, I think you feel okay about it. You probably don't feel good about it if you decided to draft him in the top 50, but I don't think you're going to massively regret it if you've moved on. Towns had 20 and 15 with 5 assists and 2 blocks. Brunson was very good. Mikal Bridges only had 10, but he had 9 assists, and Anunoby continues a real surge forward. We saw a bit of this at the end of the regular season last season, and I didn't know just how real this usage uptick was. Well, it appears to be quite real. He looks really good. Juice McBride didn't do a huge amount. Jordan Clarkson finally scored well, but Mitchell Robinson was the other starter. He played 13 minutes, he went scoreless. He did have 2 blocks. There's been a lot of people rushing to add Mitchell Robinson. Why? He will fit certain teams, but even in this game, his second game back, he went to the locker room with an ankle problem. He did return, but he's not going to play tomorrow. They're going to be very cautious with him all season. I don't see any purpose in Mitchell Robinson being a standard 12-team category. He's definitely not a points guy. No way that I see him being you have to make sure Mitchell Robinson is grabbed. If you're in a 175 player league, a 14 man, okay, I get that. But I'd say the urgency on him, it shouldn't be as high as what it seems to have been. Second last game of the day, another of the undefeated teams falls. The Spurs are knocked off by the Suns, convincingly, 130-118. San Antonio had the same starting lineup, but they did lose Dylan Harper in this game after 11 minutes. Now, he had 12 points in that time. He shot the ball really well, didn't have much else going on. And I talked about him as a potential drop guy in the waiver wire show earlier today, just saying, he's fine. We love what he's doing, but is there a realistic path for him to continue to do more and get this large role? And I'm not sure there is. Let's hope that this isn't anything significant. Absolute disaster from, pick who I'm going to say here. Devin Vassell, 4 points, 0-0, 32 minutes. But even Wemby was not good. It was just a weird game. Low usage from Wembanyama, 9 points on 29%. The good thing, and this is where the greats separate themselves, he had 9 points and shot 29% and didn't attempt a single free throw and had 6 turnovers. That is all bad. But he had 9 boards, 1 steal, 4 blocks. And still was still pretty good. All right, so you get a bad night and it was still pretty good. It was also another stat-stuffing night from Stephon Castle. And honestly, he looks much better most of the time. I've been way more impressed with him this season than I was last season. I still have my long-term winning doubts with him because of some of the stuff of what happens when he is not tasked with this role, because I don't think that's optimal. But he has been great. 26, 7, and 5, 2 steals, a block, and 2 threes. The Fox thing is going to be incredibly interesting. Now, it might be easier if Harper is actually injured and out, and we hope that isn't the case, but it might make it a little bit easier. But for now, we have to just wait to see exactly where that goes. Oh, I've got to do it again, don't I? What about the pencil, Harrison Barnes? Barnesy! 13 points, 3 threes, 4 rebounds, a steal. A totally passable, serviceable game. If you're in a 200-player deep league, he's just a must-roster guy. For now. We'll see what happens when, Sohan is back and when Cornet is playing and Fox is back, because they're 3 players who can easily be part of the rotation. Julian Champagnie is starting, but he's not really doing much. And we actually got the first decent game from Carter Bryant. 10 points with 2 steals, but I can't see Bro making any sort of impact on leagues this season. The Suns, they did this, by the way, with still guys out. And it does sound that Dylan Brooks is going to be out for a little bit longer. And it seems like Jalen Green, who's done 5-on-5 work for 2 consecutive days, might be back as early as their next game. And remember, they've got a really good schedule this week. They play on the low volume days. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So there is value here. Because Royce O'Neal just keeps getting it done. 11, 6, and 4, 2 steals and 3 threes. It's great to have Royce O'Neal on your roster right now. We can see what happens when 65 minutes of Brooks and Green and their shot-chucking ways returns. But for now, O'Neal's cooking. We also got Devin Booker putting up big numbers, huge percentages. Again, he had a slow start, but he's already back to being a second-round guy. 28, 13, 2 threes, 67%. You love it. Colin Gillespie also. Love what he's doing. 15 points, 4 assists, a steal, and a block. And while players are out, clearly a usable guy. And you love him for this week. The schedule is perfect for Colin Gillespie and Royce O'Neal this week. Where it all goes, I'm not sure. But O'Neal, Gillespie, Grayson Allen, all must-roster guys. Even Ryan Dunn pops his head up with 17 and 5 with 3 threes in 27 minutes. I don't really rely upon that, although the schedule, you can do it. You can have a look. It was not a good game at all from Mark Williams. He did get to 25 minutes after a very slow start, but 7 points only, really low usage. Again, though, like Wemby, he's not Wemby, but like Wemby, the scoring wasn't there, but he had 7 boards, he had 1 steal and 2 blocks and shot 60%. So there were contributions. Now, the free throws were terrible, and the minutes were frustrating. But he's out there, he's starting, and what we're getting now is not a bonus, but it's like I feel grateful that it's switched as quickly as it did. Because I was a little worried that they were going to let it linger a little bit more there. Jordy Goodwin was pretty good here as well. 11 points with 3 threes and 2 steals. He's a very good steals guy. But if we're worried about Green and Brooks returning, impacting Gillespie and O'Neal and Dunn to a degree, well, Goodwin's going to just evaporate. So we don't need to worry, I don't think, too much about that one. So let's do the final game of the day. The Miami Heat go in to take on the Los Angeles Lakers and they lose 130 to 120. It was the same lineup, but not for long. Because in the second half, we saw Spoelstra finally make a move and Superman got benched. Khalil Ware played 12 minutes. It is, not looking great for a guy that had those huge preseason games, which we always cautioned were very, very fake, where he was getting 34% usage and shooting 50% from 3. Another one of those really great indicators of this is just never going to happen in real life. Now, we still like his overall fantasy skill set, but we're also of the understanding that Spoelstra generally does not like playing him and Bam Adebayo together, and it's getting worse and worse. 12 minutes, 7 points, 1 block. He was 100% from the field, but that doesn't matter. You can have your arguments and say Spoelstra should do this, and maybe he'll change his mind. He is a big changing mind legend. But in the lineup group that they have, he doesn't use him. I find it very hard to think that we could be holding Ware at this point. There's just nowhere near enough there. The guy that replaced him in the second half wasn't Little Chungus. It was Triple H, Jaime Jaquez Jr. Now, if you want to talk about some stuff that's not going to hold, his shooting numbers continue to be just out of this world. 69% from the field, 69 from the line is terrible. Double 69. 31, 8, and 4. No defensive stats and no threes. His 3-point shooting is terrible. He is a bad 3-point shooter. It'll probably jump up a little bit, but his 2-point numbers are unbelievable. For now, absolutely, you roster Jaime Jaquez. But there is going to be some sort of slowdown reckoning at some point. There's still no Norman Powell, so Palla Larson started again. A really good game. 17, 5, and 6 is at least streamable in these games that Powell is out. We'll see what happens tomorrow. While Wiggins is also really doing much better without Norman Powell. 15 and 9, triple one. The shooting, again, really rough. I do think, and he probably, again, this goes for Ware as well, and we've talked about this already back with the Grizzlies. Dropping somebody in the middle of the back-to-back is usually not really a positive move, unless it's your worst player and it's a longer-term guy that you're adding. But Davion Mitchell just isn't really looking like a 12-team guy.
Get that garbage out of here!
Which is fine, because we've seen Davion Mitchell play for years, and he's been bad. Every one of those years, apart from a 2-month period last season. He had 8 and 8 here, and it is not going to be better when Powell and Rozier return. It just is not going to improve. And Simone Fontecchio, who'd been shooting 58% from 3, everyone was grabbing him. I get it, streaming it today, but he shot 20% here. He had 9 points. He is not a 12-team league guy at all. Nearly anybody who plays 20 minutes can be a one-day streamer. That is true. But as a regular guy, no. While Little Chungus played 28 minutes, he had 9 points, and we don't need to worry too much there. My man Drew Smith gets the steals. He is a perfect steals streamer. Another 2 for him. And that'll bring us, I think, onto the Lakers side of this game, who were... Oh, they did it. We haven't had many of these for a while, but this season. But it's a common thing that we get, isn't it? Where something happens and a coach bullshits. Oh, I actually could have put him back in, guys. Like, he was fine. I could have put him in. I just didn't need to. And I just wanted to make sure he's fine. Definitely could have gone back in. That was JJ Redick talking about DeAndre Ayton, who of course didn't play in this game 2 days later. Just watch that with Kelly Oubre in Philadelphia, because Nick Nurse repeated the line. Say the line, Nick! He said the same thing, right? Just watch that. So Ayton did not play. And we talked on the streaming show yesterday about, hey, Jackson Hayes, if something happens to Ayton and they're lying about the severity of the injury, even in his low role, he's going to be interesting. But in a bigger role, let's go. Is he a good player? No, he's not. But he had 13 and 5, Jackson Hayes, in 32 minutes with a steal and a block, and was perfect from the field. Absolute cinema. He just does the stuff. Now, you would have liked some more rebounds out of Hazy. And if you added him for today, congratulations, you're a winner, baby, because you might get it tomorrow as well. Or you might not. But this is why it's always important to understand depth charts and go like, okay, well, there's nobody else now. There's Christian Koloko, who played 0 minutes. Jared Vanderbilt played just 10 minutes. He had some foul trouble, while Jake LaRavia's just ridiculous streak continues. But we all know how to approach it. I like LaRavia. He is a player that can contribute in multiple areas. Shout out to the Grizzlies not only declining his team option, but then dumping him in a salary dump in order to make their team worse for reasons that make no sense to anybody. And then he left the Kings, of course, and went to the Lakers. He's a guy that fills it up in multiple categories, LaRavia. He's got a pretty interesting role here, even with the only player at the moment being out that's really mattering is LeBron. But, there's just the last 3 games, right? We saw him take on this opportunity when players went down and went, oh, here's an interesting guy to look at, and he shot 30% and 17%. Okay, right. Then he went 91, 63, and 77 from the field. He hit 67% of his threes today. He was at 83 in one of those games, and he was at least 80% from 2 in all 3 games. I'm so sorry to tell you, Jake, you aren't this good. You will not continue to do this. And that's okay. But the role is what has been important all the way through. Ignore the points. 2 threes, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals is bloody good. And he played 35 minutes with it. Obviously, Ayton was out, but that only impacts slightly because of getting some of the forwards into the backup center role. Would I prefer LaRavia over Marcus Smart, who had a good game too? 11, 3 and 4, 2 steals and a block? I think I would. Also understanding that LaRavia can go ice cold. Would I prefer Jake LaRavia over the Mpitsu? Rui Hachimura. I know that LaRavia's got way more upside. I know that. Hachimura had 15 and 6 with 3 threes. That's fine. But again, dropping in the middle of the back-to-back doesn't really benefit you. But I guess you could make an argument that LaRavia maybe has some long-term value here, because this is the team. Again, the Ayton stuff is probably 15 minutes or so that can bump up Jake, but he's playing that well that those 18 minutes of Bronny, the 12 minutes of Dalton Connect, can't believe he failed to pick 18, they could just disappear. and LaRavia holds those when Ayton's back. It's LeBron that's going to be the impact here, and I have no idea when he's returning. So while what LaRavia is doing is clearly bullshit, right? Just in terms of the shooting stuff, it's not a real thing. The rebounds, the assists, the steals, the minutes, the role, that all is. So if you do want to add him, I think there is a level of sustainability in at least the role and the playing time. The shooting, unreal hot streak. Luka finally didn't score 40. He had 29, 11, and 10 with 3 steals. Reeves, 26, 4, and 11. Big games there. And that's probably about it here. Oh yeah, Connect had 3 points. So, yeah. So let's move and do the lines of the night. The monstrous line of the night, I am going to go to my best mates up in Toronto, Scotland Barnes. 19 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 blocks. It's been an interesting up and down start for Barnes, but that's obviously a great game. Your waiver wire line of the night goes to Trendon Watford, who has 16, 9, 7 with a block. Your young gun of the night, we are going to San Antone because Steph Castle was ridiculous again. He has really, really ramped it up the last 2 to 3 games. 26 and 7, 5 assists and 2 steals. And we'll get an update on Dylan Harper, which I'll talk about in a sec as well. And the dud of the night goes to another Spurs player. Someone has to step backwards, don't they? Devin Vassell was dreadful. 4 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists to be the dud of the night. What I wanted to talk about with Dylan Harper is the report that we got was that he left the arena in a walking boot and on crutches with a calf injury. Let's put that 2 weeks minimum. 2 weeks minimum for me. Might be 4, might be 8. I don't know. We got to find out what grade of calf strain that is, but it surely is 2 weeks minimum.
Get that garbage out of here!
Which unfortunately, yes, IL exists. Hold him in IL, do all that, right? But we'd already talked, and go check at the end of the waiver wire show today, we talked about Dylan Harper saying, the way it's looking, I think you might drop. This is your indication. If you don't have the open spots, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and drop him if you need to at this point. All right, that'll do it for us today. On a Sunday, we'll be back with week 3 starting off tomorrow. Thumb up the video, double bang it, comments, all of that stuff, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. And I hope you won your matchup in week 3. I haven't even looked at mine. Should I look at them now? Let's have a look. All right, so we'll have a look at 30 deep to see where I am in that one. Let's check out the league there. 2 matchups per week, so 6-3 over Scott White and a 6-3 over Matt Satin. All right, I'm happy with that start. That's good. We'll have a look at the Yahoo matchup, which you saw me do the draft live for. This Yahoo Friends and Family 14-man league against Matty G. I won that one 5-4, so I'm in 4th place in that league. Now let's go to Industry Pickup, where I had a 7-2 victory this week against Pat from Next Level Fantasy. So 7-2 got the victory there. I thought I was going to be in some trouble there, but ended up getting the victory there. Let's have a look at how my best ball teams went in the big best ball contest. Eventually, it's a big league to load up. Yep, so I had 2 victories there. Okay, happy with that. The Roto, we can't really do much, can we, in that? Let's look at this one. The Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl Bart Simpson division. How did I go in that one? 15, yeah, cooked in that one. I won the matchup against the league median and the matchup against Don's Goodies. 15-70, that's a lot of points, man. What about in the Mo Sislak Bowl? We've got 2 head-to-head matchups per week in that one. So an 8-1 in that matchup and a 7-2 in that matchup. Wow, this has been a good week. And then the Homer Simpson Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl. How do we go in this one? 2 matchups here, a 5-4 W and a 6-2-1 W. Wow, all right. It was a good week, apparently. I enjoy that. Didn't know it was that good. Yeah, so that's a look at my leagues. The Roto ones, again, that we'll probably do like a monthly check-in on the standings of those. But that's where we're at. Good start there. I lost Industry Pickup in week 1. I won my 30 deeps in week 1, and I split most of my Locked On Fantasy Basketball. I think I lost the points in the Homer Simpson, and I won the Most Sislak and the Best Ball, I'm pretty sure, in Locked On Fantasy Basketball. And Yahoo I won as well. So off to a pretty good start this season. Thumb it up, double bang, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.